My unfaithful spouse relocated to her partner's place and declared, "We triumphed." Half a year later, she was expecting, unemployed, and sleeping in her vehicle. My wife Lena and I shared what I believed was a solid marriage for the initial 4 years. We crossed paths in university. She was stunning and appeared invested in my ambitions rather than just chasing fun. Man, I was pursuing my finance degree while she studied education. We clicked right away. After graduating, I launched my own advisory firm. Those early days were brutal, working over 80 hours weekly, stressing about bills, the whole ordeal. Lena was genuinely supportive then. She'd bring me energy drinks at 3 a.m. while I was crunching numbers and offer encouragement when clients ghosted me, true partner of the year material. She even suggested pausing her teaching career to help me build something extraordinary, which felt like the most selfless gesture I'd ever seen. In hindsight, I should have spotted the warning sign waving in front of me. Once my business started generating solid revenue, we settled into a beautiful home in a nice area. Lena got heavily involved with a local church, leading women's groups, planning outreach events, and constantly sharing scripture on social media, preaching about loyalty and marital sanctity. But by year 4, something felt off. It started subtly. She stopped asking about my day. Our once easy conversations turned mechanical, like she was ticking off a checklist instead of engaging. I'd ask simple things like, "How was your prayer group? Who was there?" She'd reply curtly, evasively, as if eager to change topics. What caught me off guard was her sudden curiosity about our finances. My finances. She'd never cared about the business accounts before, content with access to our cards. Now she wanted specifics. What were our earnings last quarter? She'd ask out of nowhere, "What's the company worth now? Are there investments I don't know about?" At first, I thought she was just taking an interest, maybe wanting to be more involved. Then I caught her photographing my financial records. One night, when she thought I was asleep, I saw her rifling through my desk drawers. "Just tidying up," she claimed. But I noticed her snapping pictures with her phone. The tension between us grew daily. Then her routine changed. Her schedule became unpredictable. Late nights, weekend outings that didn't add up. She'd leave in one outfit and return in another, brushing it off with, "Oh, I stained my shirt." One evening, I mentioned how distant we'd become, how she seemed different. She sighed dramatically. "You're overthinking it," she said, her tone cold, but she avoided my gaze as she spoke. Then she got secretive with her phone. She bought flashier, more revealing clothes, but I never saw her wear them. She'd return with stories that didn't check out, mentioning eateries or cities we'd never visited, or showing receipts for a single hotel room when she claimed a group of women went together. I didn't want to believe it. I chalked it up to stress from my workload. Then one night she came home late, her hair slightly messy, makeup smudged more than usual. There was a faint, unfamiliar scent on her, sharp, like a cologne I didn't use. I asked lightly at first, "Rough night?" She barely glanced at me as she slipped off her shoes. "Yeah, prayer group went long, then we grabbed food, you know how it goes." Except I didn't, because prayer group used to end by 8, and now she was strolling in past midnight like it was routine. "Smells like someone doused you in cologne," I said, watching her closely. Her body language shifted, not guilty, but guarded. She huffed, folding her arms. "You're noticing now? Maybe if you weren't always working, you'd know what's happening in my life." That wasn't an answer. It was a dodge, and it worked, redirecting the blame to me. I could have pressed, but I didn't, knowing how it'd play out. If I accused her, she'd tear up, call me paranoid, and say I neglected her. I wasn't letting her flip the script, so I got strategic. I started checking bank statements and her location data when she left her tablet unlocked. Tip: people rarely sign out of their accounts. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, she spent 2 to 3 hours at an apartment complex across town. One Thursday, I left work early, parked near the complex, and waited. At 2 p.m., Lena pulled in. 10 minutes later, a guy parked beside her. Tall, gym rat type, with a generic tribal tattoo. Total stereotype. I snapped photos of them walking in, all flirty and handsy. Sitting in my car, furious, I watched my wife, the woman I'd built my life around, saunter into another man's place with the same playful energy she once had with me. I wanted to barge in and confront them, but I stayed calm, because anger roars and vengeance whispers. When she left 2 hours later, I took more pictures. I saw them kiss like they had forever. Something in me shut down then. No more doubts. The woman I loved was gone. The guy's name was Ethan. I found out by checking her texts when she left her phone unattended during a shower. He was a worship leader at her church, of all things. The hypocrisy was glaring. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I gathered proof, text screenshots, more photos of their meetups, hotel receipts from her bag, even a recorded call where she told Ethan she'd leave me soon and they'd be together. The worst part wasn't the betrayal, it was learning how long she'd been scheming against me. Her texts with Ethan made my stomach turn. This wasn't impulsive. She'd been planning for months. I'm biding my time. He's too wrapped up in work to suspect anything. Once I file, I'll secure spousal support. He'll be blindsided. She wasn't just leaving. She was exploiting me to bankroll her new life, joking with her lover about how she'd land softly while leaving me stranded. That's when I decided she wouldn't walk away with a dime more than necessary. I met with my accountant after hours, keeping it low-key. Considering some changes, I said. Over 2 weeks, I made financial moves. Prepaid my office rent for a year, accelerated loan repayments, adjusted my salary to keep more funds in the business, and bought equipment I'd need later. Everything was above board, fully documented. I wasn't concealing assets, just ensuring she got no more than she deserved. Then, out of nowhere, she handed me a gift. One random Tuesday, she decided to blow it all up. When I got home, she was on the couch, wearing this odd, smug look. "James," she said, "all syrupy and fake. We need to talk." I knew what was coming, but played dumb. "What's going on?" "I'm pregnant. We hadn't been intimate in months, so unless this was a miracle, it wasn't mine." Before I could react, she drove the knife deeper. "It's not yours. I've been with someone else. I want a divorce." She said it like she was ordering coffee. No regret, no pause. After 5 years, she discarded our marriage like junk mail. My hands clenched, rage bubbling inside. I wanted to shove my evidence in her face, expose her right there, but then it hit me. This was ideal. She had no clue what I knew, no idea I'd been tracking, documenting, waiting. She thought she held all the cards, that she was ending it on her terms. I gave a slow grin. I see. It threw her off. She expected me to rage, beg, or ask who. But I sat there, calm as ever. She pressed harder. "And just so you know, you'll still owe me spousal support. I sacrificed my career for you, so you're obligated." I met her gaze. "Lena," I said, "did you think I wouldn't know about Ethan?" Her face paled. I smirked. "Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? 2 to 3 hours? Same complex, same spot? You didn't even bother switching it up. You thought I was that clueless?" She tensed, jaw tight. I don't know what you mean. Come on." I leaned back, arms spread on the couch like I had all day. "Prayer group runs late, huh? Must be some intense sessions if they require sexy outfits and hotel stays." "And Ethan?" I continued. "Great choice. A worship leader, huh? Wonder how his flock would react to him impregnating a married woman while preaching fidelity." She was panicking now, eyes darting like she needed an escape. "How long were you going to string me along, Lena?" I asked, tilting my head. "You and your side guy waiting for the perfect moment, right? Planning to bleed me dry before you ran off? What was it you said? He'll never see it coming." Her mouth opened and shut like a fish, gasping. I didn't let her regroup. I stood. "Let me be crystal clear. You're not walking away the victor. You're not getting a damn thing I don't allow." She tried to rally, masking fear with fake confidence. "It's the law, James. Fight it all you want. You'll lose." I gave her my smuggest smile. "If you say so," I said simply. She thought she'd landed a knockout blow, but she'd just saved me effort. I just had to smile and let her think she was in charge. Meanwhile, I was already steps ahead. The next 2 weeks were surreal. Lena moved out almost immediately, straight to Ethan's place. She filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Fancy legal talk for, "I want to be with someone else guilt-free." I consulted multiple attorneys. The first 3 basically said I was doomed. No-fault divorce state was their mantra. Apparently, my wife's affair and pregnancy didn't matter in court. But I kept searching until I found a lawyer, let's call him Marcus, who was blunt. "Look, man, I won't lie," he said. "You'll likely have to pay something, but we can try to limit the damage." When I showed Marcus my financials, he raised an eyebrow. Curious timing on these business expenses and restructuring, he said, eyeing me. He didn't elaborate as he couldn't endorse hiding assets, but I knew he got it. This could lower the spousal support amount a bit, but in this state, you're still facing hefty payments. That's when I got an idea. The courts might ignore her cheating, but her sanctimonious church crowd wouldn't. Still, I stayed composed during the divorce process, let her think she was winning, give her just enough rope to hang herself. Court day was odd. I showed up in my sharpest suit. Lena arrived with her high-end lawyer, dressed plainly, like she was trying out for a convent role. It was almost comical how fake it was. The judge looked bored before we even started. Lena's lawyer went first, spinning a tale about how she abandoned her bright career to support me, managed our household while I grew my business, and deserved compensation for her contributions. When it was our turn, my lawyer laid out the evidence, her affair, the pregnancy, and her cohabitation with Ethan. Her lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we're in a no-fault state," he said smugly, as if that erased her actions. "While my client regrets the marriage's end, the law is clear. Misconduct doesn't factor into spousal support. What matters is the financial gap between the parties. Hearing her betrayal dismissed so casually made me want to wreck the courtroom. She cheated. She lied. She was pregnant by another man, and I still had to pay her to leave me." My lawyer pushed back, reiterating the evidence, emphasizing that she wasn't just leaving but had secured a financial parachute while living with someone else. The judge just sighed, waiting for us to finish. When he ruled, he dropped the hammer. While the court notes Mr. Taylor's concerns about his wife's infidelity, the law in this state is clear. Spousal misconduct doesn't affect alimony. Lena smirked at me across the room. The judge continued. Given Mrs. Taylor's financial reliance during the marriage and her current jobless status, she is entitled to spousal support. Mr. Taylor will pay $4,500 monthly for 4 years, or until Mrs. Taylor remarries. $4,500 a month for 4 years to the woman who betrayed me while carrying another man's child. It felt like a fever dream, but my financial moves paid off, somewhat. Instead of a $6,000 monthly hit, the judge set it at $4,500. Not great, but better than nothing. The best part? Lena and her lawyer had no clue about the funds I'd safeguarded, or that my business would conveniently rebound post-divorce. Lena couldn't resist gloating as we left court. "Told you," she whispered as we passed. "Should have settled on my terms from the start." Then she called Ethan right in front of me. "Honey, it's over. We won." She laughed like a kid. "He has to pay," I said. The judge wouldn't care about the rest. I stayed silent, just watched her strut off, thinking she'd pulled off the perfect scheme. But the real game was just starting. I sent the first alimony payment on time. No complaints, no fuss, even included a polite email. "Payment sent. Please confirm receipt." Lena seemed surprised I wasn't bitter. They probably expected me to lash out, giving her more leverage. Instead, I played the model ex-husband. Prompt, civil, detached, but not hostile. She had no idea what was coming. Lena wasn't just a member of Grace Covenant Church. She was their star. She ran the women's ministry, organized couples retreats, and spoke during services about God's plan for sacred unions. Her father was an elder. Her mother taught Bible classes. Their family was the picture of devout Christianity, and I knew they'd drop her the moment they saw her true colors. I'd compiled everything: DNA results, time-stamped photos of her and Ethan, screenshots of their explicit texts, hotel receipts, even a recording of her mocking her church friends as rigid hypocrites. That one was gold. I organized it all in a sleek professional binder with a polite cover letter. To the leadership of Grace Covenant Church, I regret raising this, but as a fellow Christian, I feel it's my duty. My ex-wife, Lena Taylor, who leads several of your ministries, has engaged in conduct that violates your church's values. I've included evidence of her affair, which began during our marriage and resulted in a pregnancy by another man, confirmed by DNA. Lena now lives with this man and receives substantial alimony from me. I share this not out of malice, but out of concern for your ministry's integrity. Sincerely, James Taylor. I delivered the package early Sunday morning when the church was empty, then went home to wait for the fallout. The Sunday after I dropped off my little gift, my phone exploded. Texts from mutual church friends. "Man, what did you do?" The pastor called an urgent elders meeting before worship. Lena's freaking out. I just turned off my phone and napped. It felt amazing, no lie. Later that day, I got a voicemail from Lena. She was screaming so loud I had to pull the phone away. "You miserable jerk. How could you do this to me? They stripped me of the women's ministry. My dad won't even speak to me. You've destroyed everything." I deleted it without calling back. I don't need that drama, you know. More messages came all week, each more desperate. Her church friends ghosted her. Her parents were preying on it. Code for, "We're ashamed of you." The Christian school where she volunteered asked her not to come back. Even Ethan was wavering. Apparently, he didn't sign up for this chaos. He thought he was getting a sweet girlfriend and a steady alimony check. Instead, he got a pariah, a baby on the way, and a mess. By Friday, he'd kicked her out of his place. So much for true love, huh? A week after my evidence dropped, Lena faced a formal disciplinary meeting with the church elders. I know because she called me crying, begging me to tell them it was a mistake. James, please, they're going to shame me publicly. Do you know what that means? They'll announce it to the whole church. Everyone will know. They already do, Lena. That's how church gossip works. My dad might lose his role over this. My family's been at Grace for generations. Should have considered that before you hooked up with the worship leader. She went quiet, then said softly, "He's not talking to me anymore." "Who? Your dad?" "No, Ethan. He said it's too much drama, that I lied about the divorce being easy. I couldn't help but laugh." "So, your soulmate bailed when it got rough. Shocking. I have nowhere to go, James. My parents won't let me stay. My friends aren't answering. That's your issue. Can I come back? Just until I sort things out?" This woman had some nerve. "It's not your home anymore, Lena. You lost that when you cheated." She started sobbing, big theatrical wails. "What am I supposed to do? Get a motel. You've got alimony coming. Figure it out." Then I hung up. Harsh, maybe, but after what she did, my empathy was bone dry. The church hearing happened Wednesday night. By Thursday, the news had spread across town. Lena was publicly labeled an adulteress and stripped of all church roles. The pastor gave a whole sermon on marriage's sanctity and sin's consequences, not naming Lena but making it obvious who he meant. Her parents stepped back from church leadership. Her sister delayed her wedding, set for Grace. The whole family was basically ostracized. And Ethan? He'd already requested a transfer to a church in another state, leaving Lena pregnant and alone. I stayed out of it all, didn't need to do a thing. The community she cherished did the heavy lifting for me. Small religious circles are interconnected like that. Lena's church downfall triggered a domino effect I couldn't have planned better. First, the private Christian school where she worked part-time cited budget cuts and dropped her. The principal couldn't meet her eyes when he broke the news. Then her volunteer gigs vanished. The pregnancy support center where she advised young women decided her situation made her a poor example. The nonprofit where she managed fundraisers claimed it was restructuring its volunteer team. Every piece of her identity was chipped away, and I just kept sending alimony payments on time each month. 3 weeks after the church drama broke, a former neighbor texted me. "Lena's sleeping in her car in the Walmart lot." I didn't reply but drove by that night. Sure enough, her sedan was parked in the lot's far corner. I saw her outline in the driver's seat, lit by her phone. The next day, she called again. "I lost my job," she said, her voice flat. "No tears now, just empty defeat. That's rough. The baby's due in 5 months. No one will hire me. My parents still won't talk to me." I said nothing. "I've been living in my car," she finally admitted. "I can't afford both a car payment and rent on just the alimony." "Sounds like bad budgeting," she inhaled sharply. "Is this what you wanted, to see me ruined?" I thought for a second. "You know what? Pretty much. I was foolish. I messed up. I didn't mean to hurt you. I cut her off. I don't care." She choked back a sob. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." I grinned. "Nice. Good luck with your new life." That's when I played my final move. "Time to end this my way." "Actually," I said, keeping my tone light, "I might have a way to help us both." "What kind of way?" Lena asked, suddenly alert. I could hear the desperation. "I'm tired of cutting these monthly checks," I said casually, "and my business is growing. I'm eyeing an office in Dubai. Might relocate there for a bit." "What's that got to do with me?" "Well, international alimony enforcement is tricky, and I've got a new lawyer who thinks we could revisit the settlement with some creative legal angles." Total bluff, but Lena didn't know that, and she had no way to verify. "What are you saying?" Her voice was frantic. "I'm saying I want to buy you out. One lump sum instead of monthly payments for 4 years. She went quiet, thinking. "How much?" she finally asked. $90,000 cash, tax-free. You sign a release waiving all future claims, and the money's yours today." Lena had no clue I could easily cover that. My earlier financial moves had preserved plenty, and my business was already bouncing back. She and her lawyer never knew half of what I had. To her, $90,000 was a lifeline, but it was less than half what I'd owe over the full alimony term, a steal. For someone pregnant, broke, and homeless, it probably felt like a jackpot. I don't know," she said. "My lawyer said—" "Your lawyer isn't sleeping in a parking lot," I interrupted. "This offer's gone in 24 hours. After that, I start challenging the alimony ruling and you get nothing while we fight in court for a year or two." More silence. I could almost hear her brain racing. "Can I think about it?" "Sure. You've got until tomorrow at this time. Then I move forward with the challenge." I hung up without waiting for her reply. She called back 2 hours later. "I'll take it," she said softly. "Wise move. I'll have the papers ready tomorrow. Meet me at my lawyer's office at 9 a.m. "James," she said quietly. "Thank you." I almost laughed. "Don't thank me, Lena. This isn't kindness. It's a transaction." The next morning, she showed up at the lawyer's office looking rough. Dark circles, messy hair, same clothes I'd seen in her car. My lawyer had the documents ready, a full release of all future alimony obligations for a one-time payment. I'd already gotten the cashier's check. Lena barely skimmed the papers before signing. When my lawyer handed her the check, her hands shook as she took it. "So that's it?" she asked. "We're done?" I nodded. "Completely done. I don't want to hear from you again." Her sister keeps her at arm's length, worried Lena's reputation might taint her own church status. Lena tried rejoining the church community, but it didn't go well. They let her attend services, but she's banned from leadership roles. She sits in the back and slips out right after service ends. I'm